Alright, part 2 of the painting tutorial. The bolt action, German Heer. This is where we stopped last time for the part 1. I had finished painting, I believe, the black on all the pouches and straps, the belt. So you can see the straps here on the back that meet towards the front, the belt, the little black pouches on the front side of the uniform. As well as the entrenching tool cover. And you have 3 options for, right, if you have a guy with an MP40 or an assault rifle, a Sturmgewehr, and you added the ammo pouches, which is another option, you don't have to, but if you did, you have 3 options for colors. You can either paint them black, which is, nice, everything looks uniform. You can also paint them right here, let's see, German camel beige, which is right here. German camel beige. It's like a nice, real light cream colored beige, or green brown, which is what I'm going to go for. So I based it first in like a darker brown, which was the same as the skin, the heavy sienna. And I went ahead and painted the floor flat brown like I said I would, but I have other models, so just for the sake of me actually painting it on, instead of like fast forwarding, I will paint the flat brown on this guy, which is the same model, but he's got a rifle instead of MP40. So the first layer was heavy sienna. Now we're going to lighten it up a little bit with the flat earth, which is Vallejo 983. It's a real nice color. And you can also use this color, which I will be doing, to paint the raised edges of the flesh. So now we're getting from that dark heavy sienna on the skin to a lighter brown, and working our way up to lighter colors, so we can eventually paint the skin and the highlights on it. But you don't want to paint the flesh color, usually never, straight onto a black primer, because it'll look off and you'll have to, it won't look right. So you want to layer it, for something dark first, like a nice brown, like we're doing here. So get this flat brown. If it gets on the boots, that's fine. If anything, that's good, because the boots are going to be a beige brown, and this is a color that's a little bit lighter than a heavy sienna, so we'll also be laying our way up. So the more layers, the better. Again, I'm using a wet palette, but if you're not, you can just water down your paints a little bit. Don't use it straight from the pot. Just thin it a little bit. Just put a tiny bit of water and mix it in. Clean your brush and reapply it so it doesn't have too much paint. Alright, so while that's drying on this one, we'll skip back to here where I already continued, where I already put the brown. Now I'm using 2 brushes. I'm using the Army Painter Monster for bigger areas, and for general purpose I'm using the Regiment, also from Army Painter. Alright, so this is where we are. Painted the black. It's okay if it's a little bit messy. You can always touch up with some, if you get it on the uniform, with the German field gray. And it looks like this guy doesn't have the flat earth, so we're going to use a flat earth now on the raised edges of the face. So it'll be the lips, the chin, the ears, cheekbones, jawline, and leaving the heavy sienna in the recesses. On the fingers, right here. A little technique you guys could do if there's a raised edge, kind of like here on the hand, where you can see all the little bones sticking up. If you have a little bit of paint, just very little, you can paint vertically across horizontal lines to kind of highlight it. And if you have just the right amount of paint, just a little bit, it should kind of highlight it for you, getting only the raised edges. What's nice about this tutorial is that I said I was going to do a Flames of War tutorial, but this serves both purposes. This can be applied directly onto Flames of War tutorial if you're painting. A perfect example would be the Open Fire starter set. This is the same way you would paint the German Grenadiers in that set. Identical, the same way, same colors. The only difference is the scale on the actual model. But these are all the same colors that I would use for that. So you can use this tutorial for Flames of War, German late war Grenadiers. You know, normal Wehrmacht here. Same exact paint and you know, colors. Alright, so that was Flat Earth. Another thing. The entrenching tool. It was previously base coated in heavy sienna. And now we want to apply the same color, the Flat Earth, which is a lighter brown, onto the entrenching tool handle. Like so. Make sure you don't get that little continuation of the cover. And at this time, since the color we'll be using for the ammo pack is also lighter, we can use the Flat Earth on the ammo cartridges, leaving the recesses as the heavy sienna as much as you can. Okay, boots a little bit. As you start using up the paint on the brush and you start getting less and less paint on your brush, now is the time for you to either highlight or kind of do like a light dry brush, just kind of like moving it across with the tips when there's a little bit of paint left, when you want to get only the raised edges. Another thing, this color, the green brown, it's not absolutely necessary. I'm also going to be giving you guys some alternates. Like I said, I gave you 3 different options for the ammo pouch, which is for the MP40 and assault rifle. There is one variation, I believe, for the MP40. You can also paint it green gray if you wanted to, which is a real nice light green, which is the highlight color that we use for the uniform. And the bread bag, which is this right here, can be painted the same color I'm going to be using for the ammo pouch, which is green brown. You can use that for the bread bag. Alternatively, you can also use German camel beige, or also you could use khaki, and maybe add a little bit of white, or just thin it down with some water to make it a little bit lighter for the bread bag and the ammo pouch. We'll also be putting some Flat Earth on the canteen. So pretty much everything that was base coated in heavy sienna is now getting a second coat of Flat Earth, or a first coat of Flat Earth over the heavy sienna to lighten it up and leaving the recesses dark. So the canteen, bread bag, entrenching tool handle, the boots, all the flesh, and the ammo packs for this demonstration. Alternatively, you could paint the ammo packs black if it's an MP40, or that other submachine gun, you can paint it green gray. I'll be using green brown for that. So let's do Warlord Games has you know, they've adapted their paint for their scale, so you can't paint it. I mean, you can, but the colors they suggest you use are a little bit slightly different from you would get from Battlefront. So for the gas mask canister, for example, they don't recommend what Battlefront does, which is the German camel dark green. They recommend a military green. But I don't have military green, so I'll just be using the alternate, which would be a German camel dark green, the same I use for flames. For the gas mask canister, some guys don't have it on their stuff, but this guy does, which is right here. And I'll be using the German camel dark green for that. And if this was a early war Blitzkrieg Grenadier, then I would also use this color for the helmet. So the gas mask canister. It's a real nice dark green. It's kind of like a Dark Angels green if you guys are familiar with 40K. Alright, so we got the gas mask canister. Okay. Now we can do, let's do the the ammo pouches for the MP40, and the bread bag. I've never used this color, the green brown. I have it in one of my paint kits, never used. So let's see if it's in good shape. It looks like it is. A lot of these colors, they look almost identical, you know, khaki gray, green brown. They look real similar. So you can use any of those alternatively. Khaki gray, green brown, German camel beige. So if you don't have green brown, you can use any of those I just mentioned for the ammo pouches. And for the bread bag. So we're just painting the raised edges, leaving the darker brown in the recesses. Make sure you paint on the sides of it, avoiding the uniform as best you can, but it's okay if you mess up a little bit because we're going to be highlighting the uniform very soon and fixing any mistakes. So the ammo pouches, and now the bread bag right here. This green brown or khaki gray, German camel beige, anything that you want, but I am using green brown as was suggested by Warlord Games. So you paint the bottom of it. Okay, there you go. Ammo pouches and bread bag. And I'm just going to do it on this guy as well, so I paint two guys simultaneously. I'll also be using this other model for the helmet tutorial to show you guys how to paint the helmet, which is real simple, but just a little trick, which is real simple. You probably would do it already if you know how to paint, but if you don't, just a little trick to make it look a little bit nicer. A little bit of highlighting there. And round surfaces are kind of tricky to highlight, so I'll just show you how I do it and the end result to see if you like it or not. So now I painted this bread bag in green brown. This guy, I ran out of ammo pouches, so he doesn't have one, but that's perfectly fine. Also, now I have better light. I added my third light. I forgot to put it in the first video, so we have a little bit better light. So here we are now. Just finished a German camel dark green on the gas mask canister, green brown on those two things. Now let's paint. Let's take out the green gray, Vallejo 886. This will be the highlight color for the uniform, where we'll be painting, you know, all the lines on the uniform, the raised lines, like the, you know, the edge of the sleeve, the collar, the, you know, all these little lines here to add more detail. Also, the puttees or the gaiters, two words, same thing, which is the stuff here. If they are late war Germans, and they should have them, it's this little strip that you've seen in Saving Private Ryan, you know, that separates the pants from the shoe, from the boot, you know, like so. There's a little separation right there, I don't know if you guys can see, between the gaiters, the puttees. Inside of there, try not to get the paint in there. You want to leave that dark. And this is a green gray, and we'll be using the same color to highlight the uniform. Now, if you want to add an extra step to highlight the uniform, you can mix the uniform color, the German field gray, with the green gray, mix it 50-50, and then once that's dry, apply a straight green gray to add an extra layer. So that's more work. You can't do it if you want to, but to the naked eye, to someone who's not an experienced painter, they won't really notice it. You could do it if you want, but we're gonna skip that because it's not hugely noticeable. So, you know, it's not a waste of time, but it's not really necessary. So we're just painting the gaiters or the puttees, whatever you like to call them, green gray. It's a real nice, kind of like a mint chocolate chip color. Real nice. It's okay if it gets on the boot. Try to avoid it getting on the uniform though, because you only want that color to be on the highlighted edges of the uniform. Some puttees, the gaiters finishing up. Okay, it's done. You can see, looks real nice. It adds contrast between the pants and the boots. So let me check the time. Alright, so I'll be ending it soon. I think the highlighting will take some time, so I'll keep this video below 17 minutes. So on part 3 we'll do the highlighting of the uniform. We'll be painting the rocks, and we'll be painting the skin and the rest of the smaller details, like highlighting the metal parts. Real quick, I've already done this, but there's 2 ways to do this. The easiest way, just forget about that there's an alternate way. Well, I'll tell you the alternate way as well, but I want to keep it quick. Is everything metal, so the MP40, the entire gun, any exposed metal, which would also be the canteen and the top part the mess tin, which is this little thing here, and the top of the canteen, including the weapon if it's an MP40 or an assault rifle, anything that's exposed metal, you want to use German gray for it, base coated in that. Another thing you would like to do is, if you don't have German gray, just use a black. And if you have black and any metallic color, for example gunmetal or mithril or chainmail, any metallic color, mix it with the black, kind of like a 50-50, and base coat all the exposed metal in that. So do that if you can. German gray or just black, or blacks mixed with metallic, or German gray mixed with metallic, any combination of those 3, but try not to put a metallic color completely on its own as the first layer. We're going to be using the metallic color, in this case chainmail, to highlight that first coat we do, and that's kind of important because it makes the metal look a lot more realistic, kind of like this effect here. It's not that great lighting and it won't look as good as in person, but you can see it's not just a blob of silver, it's highlighted on the edges so you can see the more detail. Alright guys, until next time, painting the skin, highlighting the uniform, and painting the base.